Hello snowboarders of the internet, I'm your host Avran LeFeber, and in this video we're going to be reviewing the Nerd Relic. This board features a directional cam rocker, so you've got kind of a set back traditional camber with rocker in the nose and the tail. What's going to happen is when you load that camber up, it's going to activate that rocker in the nose, giving more optimal powder float as well as ease of entry in and out of turns. And that camber section is also going to give you the drive, power, and snap of this board right underfoot. This board is only available in 151. I rode this board at Copper Mountain on a sunny bluebird day. There was average temps. There was 3 to 5 inches of fresh snow on top of old, choppy, heavy powder. There was crap, ice, perfect corduroy, and I rode it with my Rome Black Label bindings and my K2 Thraxis boots. This board has a fully directional, ever so slightly below middle of the road flex, so what you get is a softer nose that's accentuated by the rocker, then it stiffens up right outside the front insert pack, hits the middle right where it hits a defined flex point, and then stiffens up inside the back insert pack through the tail. The torsional flex is highly abundant. What you need to know about this board when it comes to stability is how lively this is. So at high speeds, you're going to get chatter in the nose, and that's going to resonate back under your front foot. You're going to feel it. The midsection is a little more stable, so when you're hitting like harder, firmer stuff, that's when you're gonna feel it. But if you're really pushing off the tail from inside that back foot through the tail is the most stable, stiffest portion of this board. As I said, it's a highly lively board. It's not overly damp. So the nice thing about this board is the camber section is really easy to engage, and it has a skate-like pop, which means you don't have to be overly calculated when you're popping off something. You can just go in, snap, and you're gonna get up in the air. The downside though is the flex on this board. If you're really aggressive with how you load it, you can overpower it and it won't snap the way you want. So you gotta be kind of light on your feet, and you have to be a little more mellow with how you actually engage it just to get it to snap. Now, it does have solid snap. You're going to be able to get up in the air. Just if you overly aggressively manhandle it, you're going to overflex the board. It's not going to do what you want. It's not going to have that rebound. If you're a lighter weight rider, you're going to pop immensely with this. As a guy that's 200 pounds on a 151 volume shifted board, honestly, it could use a little bit more snap. All right, so when you look at this board, you know you got that rocker in the nose. You got this huge platform for just popping a 180, locking into a pow butter with. If you go into that aggressively, as this is the softest section of the board, you're going to overflex it and it starts to get hooky. You want to be a little more nuanced and finesse it just a little bit easier. If you just sort of be a little slower with your rotation into that 180, just to push into it with a little less effort, it's going to lock in. You're going to be able to hold it for as long as you want, and then it's going to pop out. With the tail, you're doing high-speed wheelies. You can get sideways and sit on it when you need to, but by and large, the nose is really where you're going to be buttering with it, and it's going to be a pow butter because this is a pow board. Let's be real. It's also a party board. It's a pow party board. So maybe slush. You might butter it in slush. I don't know. I don't know what you people are doing when you buy these things. Here's the thing about this board. It can carve, but there's some nuance to it. There really is. It's got a slow turn initiation. It just seems slightly delayed outside the front foot. But when you get it on edge, you're steering it more right underfoot or slightly inside your front foot, and then you're driving it from the center of that camber and under that back foot. So you're really hammering that in, and that changes the nuance of how this board can carve. When you get it on edge and you're actually carving, it becomes zippy. It's a board that it changes the dynamic. But that initiation is slow. So you've got a slow start to your carve, and then it expedites and it becomes faster through the apex of the carve and out of it. So the longer you hold that carve and the more speed you pick up, the easier that transition will be and how you'll be able to hold your carve from toe to heel. So when you're transitioning mid-mountain as you're coming across the run, that's what you want. You want that speed. You want to be able to drive it. Like I said, it's nuanced, it's finessed. When you lay it over, you can really lay it over, and you'll feel the power out of that tail from under that back foot. You just notice that it's going to just push right through it. But when you're being more mellow and you're just slowly carving from one side of the run to the other, it's delayed. It's not as powerful. So if you know how to carve, you're not going to have a problem with this. If you don't know how to carve, this is actually a board that will help you compensate for bad skills and learn how to properly carve. Who's this board for? The resort ripping powder hound that can carve from time to time. So I think I have to give you guys a little bit of a history lesson on the Relic here. My former co-host, Kevin Hubb, we'd always joked about making a board called the War Orca. Part War Pig, part Orca, you blend it together. Then Yes came out with a board called the Worka. The Relic was Kevin's design for Nerd, and it was based off of conversations we had about taking a War Pig and an Orca and crossbreeding it and coming out with it. This is what he came up with. Do I think he nailed it out of the park? Not necessarily. Do I think it's good? Yes, it's good for a first one. It could be a little stiffer in the nose. It could just have a little bit more power from outside that front foot. But for the rider that they're going for, which is definitely not me, this is solid. It's a good board. I mean, it's fun. It's a party pow board that you can carve on if you know how to carve. It's not as turny as, say, the Super Position, but it gets the job done. It's fun. I had a blast on it. If you're looking for a board brand that not a lot of people are going to have, you should probably check out Nerd. And if you liked Kevin when he was my co-host and you want to support him in his future endeavors, you should pick one up. If you don't, well then don't buy one. Because if they don't sell, then you know, he's back to man-whoring out of this German sex dungeon. Comparable boards, the Yes Worka, the Ride War Pig, the Telos Backslash. Binding recommendations, the Rome Vice, the Now IPO, the Ride C6. This has been my review of the Nerd Relic. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you own one? Are you gonna buy one? Leave me a comment down below. Let's have a conversation about this snowboard. If you're new here, remember to subscribe, click the bell, get those notifications. That way you're not missing any of the videos we got coming out for all you snowboarders of the internet. And if you really like what we're doing over here and you want to support us further, swing on over to Angry Snowboarder VIP and become a member. Sure, I could tell you more here, but I got a video over there that explains it so much better. As always, I've been your host, Avran LeFeber, and I'll see you in another video.